Friday the 8th of March is International Women's Day, a global day focused on gender equality. At Essity, we have a global target of having a 40-60 gender split across all roles within leadership. And we want to achieve this by 2025. However, we know in order to achieve this, internal career movement is a key enabler. So join us today for this interesting panel discussion where we'll be hearing from people across Essity who have taken career movement and also how they work with internal career movement for their employees. Hi and welcome to today's panel discussion where the focus is going to be on internal career development from an individual perspective and also from the manager's perspective. I'm one of the moderators, Melanie Parmata, together with my colleague Ulla Danielsson. But maybe before we start, Ulla, maybe we could share the intentions for today's discussion.
Yeah, good idea, Melanie. So today's intentions in this conversation is to have very open-minded questions. There are no intentions of what you need to tell us or need to share. Just inspire and take the opportunity of inspiring people. Okay?
Hope we succeed.
You will, I'm sure.
But how about we learn who our panel members are? Maybe you'd like to start off, Anita.
My name is Anita Hansson. I am the R&D Laboratory and Analytics Director for Personal Care. It's a long title.
I'm Jenny Lundberg. I'm Quality Environment Manager in Lilla Edet at the mill.
Great.
Hello, my name is Maria Plaza Waldén, and I am the Employer Attractiveness and Talent Acquisition Manager for Nordic and Baltics.
Good to have you on board.
And my name is Linda Edlund. I am Commercial Director for Consumer Goods in Sweden.
And I'm Viviana Ochoa. I work in Consumer Goods EMEA as Intimate Hygiene Marketing Director.
Great. And both myself and Ulla, we are working with the Courageous Conversations. And then I'm also working in Maria's team in talent acquisition and employee attractiveness. And you're working in?
In Category Baby. That's where you find me as a Global Brand Innovation Manager.
But how about we start with our first interesting question, Ulla?
So what I would like to hear a little bit of, what steps have you been taking to grow your career at Essity? Anita, would you like to?
Yes. I mean, I started my career with Essity 28 years ago. So it's been here for some time. And at that time, Essity had a trainee program. So I'm an engineer as a background. So I started out as a trainee in that program, working as a product developer, being in one of our factories, working as a process engineer. And then back again to Gothenburg, working within the business unit as a technical product manager. And then I've been to the factory, so I've been around, and then now back again in R&D.
I think what I found interesting about your career journey that you shared with me, Anita, is that you've been in roles where you moved to management positions, but then you also took steps where it took you away from being a manager and then seeing which did you like best, and then you moved back to being a manager. So that was really interesting how you took that path.
Yes, I spent 7 years in one of our manufacturing units as a manager there for the quality department. And then after that I felt that, no, I could go back and maybe not be a manager and more focus on the other parts in the role. So I did that for a few years,
And I think that's interesting as a part of the culture in this company, that also it's embedded in many people, that it doesn't matter in that sense if you move lateral or move up and down, as long as you feel you add value, and also you can contribute, but also you can learn from it as well, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily happen in every single company. Me being in other international companies, I see a big difference there. humbleness from the team, but the people, but also from the company to allow you to move one way or another. Yeah,
And also having the possibility to do that.
definitely. Yeah.
And I can definitely relate to that. And I think it's a great opportunity we have also, depending on what other things goes on in your life. I mean, sometimes the timing is right in your life to do something, and then you take that step. And sometimes you need to, you know, be in your role and develop within your role, and then that's fine as well.
I'm curious if anyone on the panel has had a clear strategy. They've known, okay, this is where I want to go in my career and these are the roles I need to be in. Or was it more flexible?
I've never really thought about my career as a straight line, and that also relates to what you say, because life happens, and maybe a straight line wouldn't work for anyone. But I'm thinking about it more like maybe pieces of a puzzle. And I do think about and reflect on what pieces are missing, what would I like to build on in different directions. But maybe it's not so important exactly in what order, but I'm building on my puzzle. And I think that sort of goes with also what you're sharing, that it can be a ladder move or it can be a move to a different level.
Daring to jump and doing things outside your comfort zone,
Yeah.
if you may like. Have you taken any such steps, would you say?
I'm thinking that during my 10 years here at Essity, I've spent most of those years, all of those within consumer goods, most of those years within customer marketing. But now, since 2 years, I'm in sales. Those two are rather closely connected areas. I wouldn't say that maybe it was the most daring jump. So I don't know if my roles here at Essity are the best examples of those. Maybe there is someone else who did the more brave move.
Yeah. Or maybe something out of your comfort zone. Any development. And maybe it wasn't the role. It could have been something extra in the role.
I don't know. In my case, moving to Sweden to begin with, right?
Yeah.
I think
It's a
this was
bit,
something. I started in Essity, or that time SCA back in Mexico. So moving here to a category that I didn't work with before was, I would say, brave. Changing your life basically. But that's what life is all about, right? Try to take chances. The opportunity came, so I took it. And 15 years after that, here I am, moving from different roles that made me more uncomfortable, but equally challenged and curious about it, right? So I would say that as long as curiosity stays, and the role represents something that you will have fun with and you will contribute but also learn, I think that the risk is secondary.
What do you think you learned from that? I mean, that's a big challenge, and being very vulnerable, and like you're saying, being comfortable with a bit uncomfortable. But looking back now, what do you think you've learned from that?
That things do not happen if you don't look for them. Or it's not that extreme, but I would say you really need to make sure that you are present, that people know that what are you up to, right? That what are your interests, and then as Linda said, it's one thing is your capability, the other one is that the chance exists, and the other one that you have a manager that supports you, or people, that you have a network. I used to have a manager that said success comes in is composed by three things, right? Your capability, your network, and that the opportunity exists. You can have a capability and a network, but if the opportunity does not exist, you will not get it, and the other way around. So I think that would be a little bit my formula, I would say.
And I think also it's important to express what you want, because I mean, not to bend too much on you, that your manager would kind of know what you should do. So I think it's important to say, okay, I would like to do this, or I like being in this kind of role, or doing this kind of work. Yeah. Then maybe the situation will come up where there will be possibilities. So.
I'm curious, the people that you reached out to for that first, confidence boost in a way. You know, can I checking in? Can I do this? Was it just a one-off support, or were they helping you? Were they there for advice throughout your time in that role?
Definitely there for advice also further on. And I went to the most senior one and I said, hey, isn't this really your job? And he said, no, I don't want that job, but you should do it and I will help you. So that was a good thing.
But it's still giving that, you know, allyship and really supporting you there. Does anybody else have any examples there?
Yes, I'm part of the site lead team now, so that was a bit scary to take that step. And I was a bit nervous, I must say. But they have made it really easy for me in the team. And I have never felt that they have questioned me being there. And I know if I need something, they are there. So it's a really safe environment. So that transition has made it really, really easy.
But was it like that? You said that it's a safe environment and you get the support. Was it like that from the start, or is that something that has built up over time?
No, it was from the start. I felt safe from the start, and I felt that I could ask for help and I could express myself and I could be myself from the start.
And maybe you also contributed by asking for help and by being yourself.
Yeah, I hope so. So, yeah.
I think that links to what you were saying before, Anita, about if you're not asking or sharing where you're interested in or where you need support, it has to be that two-way dialogue with your manager, also your peers as well. But coming back, we touched upon a little bit about how our managers support, but maybe someone can share an example of how their direct manager now or in the past has played a key role in helping their internal movement or development opportunities. I'm happy to share, just to start the ball rolling. But I'm very interested in DE&I, if you haven't noticed yet. But when the opportunity came up to be part of the Courageous Conversations, I had a discussion with my manager, Maria, who fully supported. So it really helps having the open dialogue together and knowing that I can work with this, and if I have questions, I can ask. So it's nice to have that permission together. That's an example to start the ball rolling.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we talk a lot about in the company a lot of times about mentoring, right? But also what from my perspective helps a lot, it's sponsorship. So which I see completely different, right? And as a manager or your manager can definitely act as a sponsor for you if it's clear where you want to go, right? And we were talking about not only tell your manager, but there's a huge network in the company that if you are clear on what you would like to do, where your interests areas and so on. If you have people that knows you, that knows your record, that hears opportunities coming, I mean, at the end, your name comes to mind if you have more than one sponsor, and your manager definitely works as I would say, the sponsor, the star sponsor or the principal sponsor for your own career, on top of yourself, of course. No?
And I also think a good manager can also see something that I'm not even aware of myself that I could maybe do or contribute to, and then have a dialogue about that or suggestions. I think that's really, because sometimes you're kind of limited yourself in what you think you can do. Or so.
Yeah, I think it's just very interesting that you say about giving the other one a little gentle push and making people aware, right? How have your managers helped you, would you say, Anita?
I mean, I would say in that way, actually, supporting if I had ideas of this is something I would like to, and not maybe, you don't have to change roles because of having some development or be given possibilities to maybe do a project or do something that's kind of outside of what you normally do. And that, for me, that's a pretty good also way to push somebody into testing something. And I think mainly by actually believing in that I can do things. If you feel that from your manager, or if it's a network, whatever. But definitely it's important from a manager. If you feel that, okay, they trust me that I can do this, then of course that is, it is, that builds confidence and that you want to do it. So,
So we've just discussed a little bit about, I guess, ourselves and our managers. I'm curious to hear about maybe sponsorship or having a mentor. If any of you have a formal or maybe an informal mentor, or that network of people that you can reach out to and ask, do you think I could do this, or what do you think? Anybody want to share?
Definitely, I do have. I do have people that it's close to me, and that we work together for some time, and he or she has developed in a different route or area, but knows me, and I do try to keep that mentoring or sponsorship alive with a monthly lunch or with bi-weekly quick coffees and so on. But definitely, I think that it's key. And me personally, I try to keep a strong network of sponsors or mentor if it's the case for specific issues. No.
I also think that mentorship is so important. And actually, when I got my first line manager position here at Essity, I asked my line manager at that time and said that I would really like a mentor. You and I have a good dialogue, but I would also like to have someone else outside of the team, outside of the business unit. And she helped me. She asked me, so what is it that you want? And then she helped me find a person, which for about a year we had regular mentorship meetings. And that helped me a lot during that time. And also how I developed as line manager here. And I mean, we still this is still one of the persons that I go to seek advice, and one of a very trusted person and important still in my life.
I'm curious about what you're doing as managers yourselves when it comes to how you're living the behaviors for internal development opportunities or career opportunities in your teams.
actually, I have managers reporting to me, so I've actually done exactly what you said, also offered them a coach, because I think it's good for them to have, I mean, you have a special relation with your manager, so it's I think it's really for their personal development as well to have a coach. That's one part.
And I think it's also about encouraging trainings and encouraging external exchanges and also shadowing each other. I've had a few cases where you can shadow colleagues outside of the team, for example, and that can benefit both teams in the end. So that can also be an example, I think. But then again, coming back to what you have said before, it's really about learning about the person. What are the motivational drivers? What makes this person want to go to work every day? So I think it's important to find that transparency and communication and really make that analysis together.
It's such a good, coming back to that two-way conversation, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we do of course use the development plan on closing and setting objectives and mid-year reviews, but I think that sometimes people may underestimate that time that we have for these performance reviews, where you can sort of like unplug from everything else and really focus on understanding what the other person is looking after, or what their capabilities or strengths are, and what they are looking after for you to be probably more aware on where you need to support them, from taking the best out of their strengths, but also to reduce the opportunity areas and develop this person in the right way. So I think that I would definitely not underestimate the golden time that we set ourselves in the performance reviews, to focus on the development part of
But it's all also about understanding what my purpose is. What is, how can I contribute in my role? I think it starts with that. Then you start looking at, okay, what is it that I need to improve, or I could do differently, or develop further. Yeah.
And I was thinking about you, Jenny. I mean, how do you work with this as to sort of stimulate that conversation? Let's play with the idea that you need to sort of fertilize it a bit, or the conversations are coming. How do you work with your team to sort of get that going?
Yeah. Good question. We talk about this, and I always ask them that you need to tell me, because if you don't tell me, probably it will not happen. So I've had that conversation with my team, because I think that's important. I can see it from my side and what I need from them, but they also have to tell me what they want. So we talk about this, and I cannot fulfill everything, but if they don't tell me, then I don't know. So I try to talk about this, and to try to get their view also. It's hard, and you usually don't take that time that you need, I think. It's like you said, you really need to use this time, because it's important both for me and for my team. Yeah, I struggle a bit. It's not that easy always. Sometimes it's clear, but yeah.
But you're still having good conversations.
Yeah,
The intent
I try
is there.
to, and we're open
Yeah.
about it, and we talk about it.
I can add in there that coming from HR, I definitely see that there are room for improvements. There are a lot of more things that can be done, actually, when it comes to internal development. And it's about making the employees feel safe to be able to apply or take on a new opportunity, and to always support that, because showing that you have an interest is always positive, even if it doesn't result the first time. But I think also defining what is internal development. Internal development is also about, I think, developing within your role. Maybe not just always do the tasks that are in the scope of your role, but actually also having time to do side projects that can bring you a lot of knowledge into the tasks that you normally do as well. Like in your case with diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's an excellent example.
I really agree with you, because sometimes we are so stuck with thinking that I have to go into a new role in order to develop. So there's a lot more we can do by explaining and really using development within the roles, and then growing. I agree. Yeah.
And I think it can then lead to those internal movements, because that's something else that we really want to encourage more of in Essity, from a DE&I perspective when it comes to, moving the gender balance around, but also we're wanting to retain employees. An interesting thing that I know I've spoken with quite a few of you is when those roles come up that maybe they're more a short-term assignment, is daring to test. Does anyone have an example they want to share about where they've dared to test a role first before being in that permanently?
Yeah, I started as an acting manager, so I had available, so I could test it before, and that was really good for me, because I loved my previous job. So then it's much more scary to change.
We need to help also as managers to, since Essity is well known for you pretty much you own your own development, right? You are the one that sort of decides right or left, or where do you move. But not everybody feels so comfortable doing that, right? It's a lot of people that feels much more comfortable with a traditional sort, let's call it like that, traditional development career. So we as managers need to motivate people taking risks as the one that you just say, just temporary moves. It worked, right? So, and sometimes it doesn't work, then you go back and you move to your previous role, or do you do something different? So that, I think that's also an important role of the manager, making employees feel comfortable with the fact that it's okay to try different things, and it's okay to do something different or something on top of what you do in order to test if it's what you're looking
I
after.
think such a good point there to advocate that, because I mean, from a talent acquisition perspective, we are having more roles which are, maybe it's a 9-month position, or we've had the eval project. There's a lot of, assignment positions where if you're not sure if this is where I want to have my full-time career, or you're needing to get that extra puzzle piece, it's a perfect place to test. But a lot of people are a bit nervous of, will my manager accept this? Is it okay? So if we're talking about it a bit more and the managers are seeing what they could get out of their person coming back from this opportunity, so let's help lift it up, which comes to my next question that we have here. How can we all be role models when it comes to internal movement? And on that as well as, how can we advocate more for each other or for our employees or our fellow colleagues as well?
I think being back to the development plan, we as managers make sure that we are quite aware on our team's potential and capability, as well as I'm a super fan of network. So being very, very aware on the network that you're around, so you can connect the pieces back to the puzzle, right? To connect the pieces on, there's a talent here, there's an opportunity there. And as I loved, I don't know exactly if they use the exact words of talent producers or developers. I think that it's our role. So it's awareness on opportunities and super aware on your team's potential capabilities, strengths, and opportunity areas, so you can sort of help them to develop. At the end, you learn and you develop yourself by doing so as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you touch upon this as well before, Maria? And if you were allowed to dream, how would you see us role model this even more?
Yeah, I think it's a lot about sharing and encouraging each other. But then I also like what you discussed before with temporary assignments. And one dream would be to have like a more maybe job swapping approach. So you can actually trial out and use those temporary assignments to actually swap jobs with each other and learn from each other, and that will make some kind of cross training in the end that can benefit several people, and then if you go back, you bring with you so many new learnings that you can share.
What would you say? I mean, if somebody has the support from their manager and the role is existing, and they see this role on the essentials page, what advice would you give someone who is thinking about taking a career step and applying for a role internally?
Just go for it.
Go for it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Try it.
Try it?
I'm here if you fail.
That's a nice advice.
Yeah, just try it. What can happen? Yeah, you will learn something. So either way, it will be a good experience. And if you don't do it, you will just regret it.
Yeah, if you don't apply for it, at least then you know that you won't get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And even if you apply for it, you don't know you'll get it. So so you don't have to decide until you know you'll get it. So. Yeah.
And those of you who have applied for roles before, did you land every role that you applied for?
Absolutely.
No.
No. Just don't give up.
No.
Right? Don't give up. Keep trying, and life goes on. Right?
But I'm thinking that every recruitment process that I've been involved in, and I've had 4 different positions here at Essity during these 10 years. I've applied for more than those. But also those recruitment processes that did not end up in me getting the job, it has given me something else. It has given me a good dialogue maybe with the hiring manager in terms of networking, in terms of understanding, so what new pieces do I need to my puzzle? What do I need to develop in order to be better prepared for the next time around? And I'm thinking that even though, I mean, throwing yourself out there and getting a no, that of course will involve some disappointment, but that is only temporary, and what you get out of it is much more. Yeah.
Such good advice.
So just go for it. Back to what you were saying.
And some no's are really good. I can feel afterwards, oh, that job was not for me anyhow.
It
I mean,
could
so
be,
it's
yes.
also learning, because when you are in a recruitment process, you learn more about the job. You kind of learn more about yourself as well. So it's, yeah.
And as you said, it goes both ways.
Yeah, definitely.
That process is both for you as applying and for the hiring manager.
And that can also sometimes give you another opportunity, because I mean, if we are talking about internally, you are interviewed by the manager or HR, and maybe they were not aware of you, but you are still there. So maybe there comes up something else, and you have another option. So no, don't just go and apply. Yeah.
I think it's also coming back to the networking thing we were talking about before, a good way to get exposure and to learn and get to know another person that you might not be so acquainted with, and they might not know you so well. So definitely.
Interesting, Maria, maybe you've got some tips from the talent acquisition side for those internal candidates who are, they go, okay, I'm going to apply. What tips would you give internal candidates if they're interested to apply for a role?
I think, first of all, I just echo into what everyone has said. Take the chance and apply, because you will learn a lot regardless of what happens in the process. And then talk to people, network, talk to your manager, and talk to people around, and connect with us in the team, in the talent acquisition team as well, to get tips and
Such really inspiring insights. Really, really appreciate everybody sharing today. I think you've had some really good tips for people who are out there thinking of applying internally. You heard it, just go for it. And you have a group of people that you can always reach out to ask for that supporting boost behind you. So thank you again so much for your time, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.